Hello, and welcome to the first episode of Genesis Moments with Don, where I make approximately 5-minute teaching videos on God's creation. Today's focus is on Genesis 1:1. Have you ever considered how profound that statement is? In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. In the beginning. The beginning of what? Time itself. God created time. This tells us something about God. He does not require time in order to exist. I've lived in time for my entire life, and I cannot imagine not living within time. It takes me time to think, to speak, and to move. As humans, we say things like, before time began, but doesn't that assume a time before time began? There was no time before time began. How can we as humans even get our heads around that? That's a profound truth about God. He refers to himself as I am. He is the self-existent one who is uncreated. Then it says God created the heavens and the earth. What do the heavens and the earth include? Well, space, matter, energy, and along with the time that I just discussed. All these things are interrelated. Besides time, we also need space, matter, and energy to think, to speak, and to move. What we need for existence, God doesn't. His existence, his power, his thoughts are completely independent of the time, space, matter, and energy that he created. Now, if you know something about physics or engineering, you know that these four things God created on day one are not independent of each other. For instance, Albert Einstein showed us that time passes at different rates depending on speed and acceleration. Speed and acceleration are based on distance and time, so time and space then are interrelated, right? And experimental measurements have verified this stuff about Einstein's relativity. And in fact, at the speed of light, time stands still. So, from the light's perspective, it travels from some distant star all the way to Earth instantaneously. Now, Isaac Newton found that force is equal to mass times acceleration. It obviously takes more force to accelerate a shot put to the same speed that you would accelerate a baseball to. Mass is matter. And as I said, acceleration is defined by distance and time. And distance is space, right? So therefore, space, time, and matter are all interrelated. Okay, so what about energy? I talked about energy as well. Energy is force times distance. If I were to lift a weight with a rope, the energy applied to move the weight is the force on the rope times the distance the weight moves. So since energy relates force and distance, and since force relates time, space, and matter, as we just talked about, then time, space, matter, and energy are all interrelated. But really, I don't need to use Einstein's relativity, Newton's second law of motion, and the definition of energy to see that it's all interrelated. I could have gotten there using one simple equation that Einstein figured out. You've surely heard of E equals mc squared. Well, in this equation, E is energy, m is mass or matter, and c is the speed of light. And as we talked about, speed relates distance or space and time. So even in this one equation, we can see that they're all interrelated. Clearly, God created time, space, matter, and energy all at once, along with the mathematical relationships between them. So, what does this all mean? On day one, God instantaneously made all four of these things that we all need in order to exist. And at the same time, he established the laws of nature, making the mathematical relationships between them simple enough for us humans to understand and use for good in the world. We can take for granted that they'll continue to operate the same way tomorrow as they did yesterday because God is unchanging. God gave us dominion to care for each other and for the creation. And whether or not we spend time thinking about it, the things we do to care for creation depend on the natural laws that God established in the beginning. So if you enjoy content like this, please share this with others so the word can get out. You can also like, subscribe, leave comments, or even support me monetarily. Thank you for watching, and come back again for another episode.